Hey guys, today I'm going to talk about the 5 best things about owning an Audi R8 V10 manual. First things first, I'm going to fire the car up. It's going to be a complete cold start. It's been sitting for a while. We're going to take it out, drive it around, and talk about the 5 things I love about this car. The first thing I really love about the R8 is the design. This first generation car really pioneered the Audi signature daytime running light shape. It was so iconic, and I think it's aging really nicely. The coupe is my favorite look with it, especially with the black carbon side blade. The Spider I think looks really good with the top down. Something fun I really like about from a design perspective is this car is literally the exact same spec as the one that Tony Stark drove in Iron Man 2. There was that one scene where he's got the white top down V10 going down the highway where he's got like all the maps stacked up in the passenger seat coming out the top. I remember that very clearly, and when I got the car I was like, hey look, it's literally Tony Stark's spec. I think the car looks great. The proportions are perfect mid-engine. It looks exotic. It's not too over the top obnoxious. It has a little bit of classiness to it. The proportions, like I said, it looks great. I've got loaded with carbon fiber. I just really think that the appearances are one of the best parts of the R8. It's one of the most beautiful cars that's been designed in the last couple decades. Next up is the gated manual. So this is not applicable to all R8s, only ones with manual options, obviously. First generation, there are actually a good amount of them sold with 6-speed gated manual transmissions, less so on the mid-cycle refresh. And then on the brand new one, you can't get it at all. It's just such an amazing feeling driving a mid-engine V10 supercar with a conventional 6-speed transmission. The clutch is friendly. The fact that it's a manual is really engaging, but for some reason, the fact that it's gated with this machined aluminum H-pattern shifter right here, it looks amazing, it feels amazing, and it sounds amazing. You get this really satisfying like ka-chink noise as you engage each gear. You definitely know when you're in the right gear when you enter that gate, and it just adds this extra bit of something. It's hard, it's intangible, it's hard to describe. Non-car people have asked me like, what's the big deal? And I was like, it's just amazing. There aren't many gated manual supercars out there. There aren't many manual sports cars anymore, and to be able to have one of these I think is just extra special, and it's just so fun to just downshift, upshift, red light shifts. Everything is just so much better. Next up is just the performance of this. You have a 5.2 liter naturally aspirated V10 mounted behind you. Factory form, this car made 525 horsepower and like 391 pound-feet of torque. So it's not a lot of torque, but that's a lot of horsepower. And one of the best parts of it is the way this horsepower is delivered. Purely naturally aspirated. This engine redlines at 8,700 RPM. That is staggeringly high for 5.2 liter V10. I mean, I love the fact that a Porsche GT3 flat 6 redlines at 9,000 RPM. This thing goes all the way up to 8,700, which is impressive. And oh, it sounds so good when doing that. I'll talk about that in a second. But just the absolute performance of it, it's really fast in a straight line, all-wheel drive, but it's a very rear-biased all-wheel drive system too. Pretty much power is always sent to the back. It can send up to 30% of the power to the front wheels if it detects a loss of traction, but it behaves like a rear-wheel drive car with that kind of added safety blanket of the all-wheel drive system. It loves to be driven. It loves to be revved out. I don't usually launch it hard from a stop because I kind of like having a clutch that's still alive, but from like a 40-mile-an-hour roll, you just get on it, run it all to the red line. It's so amazing. The combination of the sounds, the manual, the way it feels. It handles pretty nicely too. Now, I bought a convertible one. I didn't bother like a coupe would handle better because it's got more structural rigidity and this and that. But I mean, this is not a car that I planned on taking to the track or anything. It's my fun back road drive for a nice, enjoyable drive, and it's plenty good enough. But yeah, overall, one of the best parts is just driving this car. You're so involved in the experience, it just feels so alive in your hands. Next up is the sound. I already touched on this briefly. You guys just heard the cold start and the exhaust. This has an aftermarket Stasis exhaust on it. In factory form, it's a little more quiet. It's the same engine as the LP560, but on the R8, they tone it down a little bit, I think, just because this is a little more friendly type of vehicle. But with an exhaust, this thing screams up to that 8,700 RPM red line. I love the way it sounds. Let me put the rear window down so you can hear it a little better. my God. I love the way this thing sounds. So yeah, that's got to be one of the best parts of it. It's really cool. The convertible, if I want to leave the top up, I can put this little rear window down and I still get that noise. With the exhaust, it drones a little bit on the freeway, but I don't care, because when you're running out the red line like I just did there, it's such a great sounding car. The last thing I want to talk about is value. So when this car was brand new in 2011, it stickered for $187,000. I bought this earlier this year, so it's a 7-year-old car. It had, I'm literally just about to hit 15,000 miles. It's at 14,999 right now. I bought it with under 14,000 miles on it, and I got it for 85 grand. So it lost over $100,000 over the course of 7 years and less than 15,000 miles. That's a lot of depreciation, but as somebody who buys it after it's depreciated, I think the value is amazing. You get all the looks, the styling, the performance, the sound, the prestige of a car that costs a lot more for a lot less. I mean, 85 grand for this thing is amazing. A loaded up Cadillac Escalade costs more than this thing did. And I really honestly think that you get, I want to say 90%, 85 to 90% of a brand new R8 V10 Plus, that's $200,000, with this car for a lot less money. And you get a manual one, where you can't get a manual one on the new one. I think the value is unbeatable for the V10s right now, especially with a manual. Right now you can get one for between 80 to 100 grand in really good condition. I think that's it's amazing. They're bottomed out. I don't think they're going to depreciate much more. And the performance you get for it, it's over 500 horsepower. It's mid-engine. It looks amazing. It sounds amazing. It's an R8. I don't really see any downsides to one of these. I love it so much, especially from the value perspective, which is a big part of why I bought it. That's so much fun to do. I absolutely love this car. Those are the 5 things that I think I wanted to highlight, the absolute best parts of owning an Audi R8. I'm still going to continue enjoying this car. It's about to get cold. I don't think I'm going to put winter tires on it, so it's going to go into storage for a little bit. I'll try to take it out when I can, but having this car has been a lot of fun. I really do love it. And again, like I said at the very end, the last point, everything that I mentioned between the appearance, the performance, the styling, the way it drives, is all overarched by the fact that the value is unbeatable. I absolutely think this is one of the best cars you can buy for the money right now, especially because it won't lose much more value, but love it. If you can buy one, definitely do it. I hope you guys liked this video. If you have any questions, please comment below. Thanks for watching.